Hello everyone, this is Rob with Thaco Thoughts with Rob, and this is episode 6. Today is going to be a companion piece to Vince, the Evil Dungeon Master's video on the Medusa. For the most part, the regular Medusa between the second and first editions are very similar. So let's go ahead and kind of go over what a Medusa is capable of. So a typical Medusa has a pale skin, a very shapely woman's form. It stands about between 5 and 6 feet tall, with snakes adding up to another foot. At distances further than 30 feet, the Medusa is easily confused with a normal woman. Its red, glowing eyes are visible up to 30 feet. At distances of 20 feet or closer, the Medusa's true nature is revealed. Its face is horrible. The snakes writhe constantly, especially if the Medusa is excited. The thing about it is the Medusa, for the most part, mates with human males. And when the act takes place, the male, of course, has no idea that he's mating with the Medusa until the end of the act, where the Medusa reveals herself to him and, of course, kills him. So basically, you could say that the Medusa is the ultimate butterface. So when a Medusa successfully mates with a human male, they'll lay an egg about a month later, and the egg will take about 8 to 9 months to hatch. When the babies are born or hatched, they look like little humans with little stubs where their snakes will grow. Now, the thing about it is, with adolescent Medusa, they do not have the ability to turn people to stone until they're pretty much until they've hit their teenage years. Their growth is comparable to that of a human child. So theoretically, you could run into, let's say, a 12-year-old Medusa, and it would not have the power to petrify you. Now, of course, this comes into the ethical dilemma of, well, what do you do with a young Medusa? After all, if you were going to capture a Medusa for any reason whatsoever, capturing while they're young is probably the opportune time to do it. Obviously, there are, you need to be kind of black-hearted for this, but if you're running a very grim, dark campaign, and you just treat young monsters as just simply monsters and not, think of them as, so-called children, then you could definitely exploit this time period to capture such creatures for, whatever use, whether you're selling them to dark wizards for material components or what have you. Now, besides the regular Medusa, you have the serpentine, or the greater version of the Medusa, which is the Medusa that has the lower body of a, large serpent. Their poison is more potent. They like to use bows and weapons of that nature. If you've ever seen Clash of the Titans, the serpentine version of the Medusa is what Perseus fought when he went to go fight the Medusa. Of course, the serpentine version of Medusa cannot use the same tricks as the regular Medusa, considering that it's basically half of a snake. So it's definitely more of a straightforward monster in many ways. So one of the things I want to bring up about the Medusa, of course, is its gaze attack. So you need to be within, of course, about 30 feet. And if you, of course, look into the eyes of a Medusa, you have to make a saving throw versus petrification, or you turn to stone. Now, on the surface, this is great, right? I mean, why do I want to provide an alternate saving throw for this? Because, to be honest with you, I don't think that the Medusa's gaze should have a saving throw. if you look into the eyes of Medusa, it should be over. Period. You turn the stone. But that doesn't mean you don't get a saving throw. But you get a saving throw for something different than what's stated. So in the books, the idea is that you're resisting the Medusa's power. And I don't think that should be a thing. Because even when a Medusa looks into a mirror and sees itself, it instantly turns to stone. There is no saving throw for the Medusa. So why should there be a saving throw for you? What I would suggest as an alternate saving throw is using save versus breath weapon. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's not about you resisting the power of the gaze. It's about you avoiding the gaze. Just like in all the other movies, Clash of the Titans and any other movie that has come out with Medusa in it, the idea was simply to avoid the gaze of the Medusa, not to sit there and resist its power. Because one of the things that I'm sure everybody has come across this if they've used any character with a gaze attack is when people will always say, but I wasn't looking, my eyes were cast down, and they'll argue with you about whether they were actually looking at the creature or not. So to me, by reducing it to a saving throw versus breath weapon, well, that's resolved within the rules. If you fail the saving throw, then that means at that point, you ended up looking at the Medusa and you turn the stone. Pure and simple. Okay, so let's move on to the Medusa's male counterpart, the Maedar. The Maedar is a very interesting creature. It has very different abilities than the Medusa. For one, it does not have a gaze attack, though it's immune to the Medusa's gaze attack, as well as the poison that the Medusa can inflict. The Maedar does have a petrifying attack, but it's through touch. So if it punches you, if it grapples you in any way, then that's when you need to make a saving throw. The thing about the Maedar, they are extremely rare. And though for the most part, they're so rare that most scholars and sages don't even know of their existence. That's how rare they are. But they're also very valued companions to the typical or to the regular Medusa or the female Medusa. And allow me to make a note, because I forgot to say this when it came to the regular Medusa, that their attacks can reach people in both the astral and the ethereal plane, which means that both versions can obviously see somebody in those planes of existence. So just be aware of that. So one of the stranger aspects of the Maedar is their relationships with regular Medusa. So when a Medusa reproduces with a human male, basically they produce baby Medusa. But when a Maedar reproduces with a Medusa, things get a little weird. Because not all of the offspring are going to be Medusa or Maedar. Matter of fact, it's I think there's only like a 10% possibility that if there's any males born or hatched, that one of them will be a Maedar. And there is a possibility that only one or two of the offspring will actually be Medusa, which leaves the rest of them normal human, which I find very bizarre. And the tragedy of the situation is because the offspring that have not been born Maedar or Medusa, well, they die, because the moment that they look at their mother, they turn to stone. Maedar are also very useful in a mated pair because they provide food for them both. The Maedar can actually reverse its touch. So let's say that somebody's turned to stone, and the Medusa, basically breaks up the statue so it can't be, revived. The Maedar can touch those stone pieces and turn them back into flesh for the Medusa and the Maedar to feed upon. Now, there is something romantic about the Maedar, despite all of its other disgusting aspects, and that is that Maedars are very devoted mates and will definitely seek revenge if their mate is killed or harmed in any way. And according to the book, they've been known to hunt and seek revenge for years if anybody basically killed their mate. So obviously this could be a good potential NPC, especially if you had a run-in with a Medusa. Just make sure that the Maedar isn't there when the Medusa is killed, so it can kind of come home, find its mate dead, and vow revenge against your players. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the strangest version of a Maedar, and that is a Glyptar. So what is a Glyptar? A Glyptar is the spirit of a Maedar trapped in a certain type of stone, mostly like an amethyst. So according to the material, when a Maedar is killed, its spirit basically descends into the earth and starts kind of roaming around until it finds, a particular stone. And then it is trapped in this stone. And the two stones are an amethyst or a feldspar. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know what a feldspar is. I know what an amethyst is, but I don't know what a feldspar is. At this point, the Maedar spirit is now trapped in these stones until they're dug up. Now, to be honest with you, I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, that's kind of a sucky situation for a Maedar to be in. And I wonder if they couldn't simply carry around an amethyst or a feldspar upon them, so if they do die, their spirits just go into the stones. So yeah, I find that a little bit on the strange side. Now, the thing about these stones is that once they're found, they can be used for a variety of things. Very good things for an adventure. One of the things that these stones are capable of is kind of animating inorganic matter. So let's say that you have a statue that is up to 1,000 pounds. You can basically use the stones and turn them into like the eyes of the statue, and so it becomes almost like a very cheap version of a golem. Now you can also attach the Glyptar to and set it as like the pommel of a sword, and the sword can be animated to strike as though it were wielded by a living Maedar. The weapon gains a +1 bonus to hit on its attack roll and strikes as if it were a 6th level fighter, and gains a +2 bonus to its damage roll. So you can literally it's basically almost like a sword of dancing, if you think about it. The sword will apparently fight on its own as a 6th level fighter. The stone, and also enables the weapon to sink harmlessly into stone as the Glyptar uses its power. So think about this. If you're using the weapon and you're attacking something made of stone, the sword will treat it as if it's flesh. That's pretty hardcore. So one of the things I forgot to mention about the Maedar in general is that the Maedar can also pass through stone. Okay, it could basically it's like a phasing ability. Now you can actually kill the Maedar instantly if you catch it at the right time. If you cast a phase door on the spot where the Maedar is, that instantly kills the Maedar. This does not work if it's in its spiritual form. So just wanted to put a note out there because I totally forgot to mention that earlier. All right, so to wrap up everything, I wanted to talk a little bit more about what to do when you kill a Medusa. Okay, so people have seen Clash of the Titans, I'm sure, and of course Perseus took the Medusa's head and showed it to the Kraken, and the Kraken instantly died. One of the things I was thinking about is there are a few legendary monsters that this would actually be a really cool thing to use against. For instance, you can either use it against, let's say, a Gargantua or the ultimate monster, the Tarrasque. So imagine, if you will, that you have a story where the purpose is to destroy this living body, embodiment of destruction, whether it's a Gargantua or a Tarrasque, and the only way to do that is to hunt down a Greater Medusa, cut off its head, and then present the head to the Tarrasque or the Gargantua or whatever it happens to be, straight out of Clash of the Titans. I personally would say, well, especially if you're trying to use this against a Tarrasque, then what I would suggest is that not just any Medusa would do, but the original Medusa. So you can have it where your players are going on this, kind of grand quest to hunt down the original Medusa, cut off her head, and then, just like out of Clash of the Titans, use it to take out the Tarrasque, for example. But there is an issue that I kind of wanted to bring up, and I was thinking about this, is the idea that a Medusa's head is continuously usable. Because I know that I was reading some stuff, and it was mentioned in other videos that you can take a Medusa's head and kind of turn it into a trap. And that's all great and wonderful, but to me that's a tad on the overpowered side, because if you can just have a Medusa's head, keep it in a sack, that's a pretty potent weapon to have available to you all the time. My suggestion would be that the Medusa's head has kind of one more attack in it. So you kill Medusa, and then it has something like it's like death gaze or something like that, where you can present the Medusa's head to an enemy, maybe even to an army. Anything that happens to be in front of the Medusa simply turns to stone. But once that happens, the Medusa basically head disintegrates. It just turns to dust in front of you. But it's almost as if that when you cut off the Medusa's head, it just has that one more ultra potent attack left, and that's what you can use to have a final showdown between you and some overpowering force, whether it's a huge giant army, because think about anything that's standing in front of anything that sees it will just simply turn to stone, whether it's a monster or an army or a grand wizard, whatever it happens to be. And I think that would be a really cool final scene in a long running campaign. So that's just some suggestions. Of course you can take it or leave it. But anyway, like I said, this has been a companion piece to Vince, the Evil Dungeon Master's video on the Medusa. So I suggest if you haven't listened to it, go take a listen. And read for yourself the difference between the first and second edition Medusa. The first edition is kind of skimpy on details, and this, second edition pretty much adds more material to the monster. And on that note, you can find this and other videos on Spotify and YouTube. and Apple Podcasts. And with that, I bid you adieu.